Hello and welcome to our first review of the year. We are joined on this occasion by Declan O'Donoghue, the main man at Shelbourne Park for the Sporting Press, the man that's there every night along with myself. He stands about 15 yards away from me in his own little cubby hole. I'm in the commentary box. Declan, good to see you. It's been a strange year, but at the same time, it's been a very, very enjoyable year towards the end.
Yeah, it's been a great year on the track. Obviously a traumatic one off it. All the people you and I know so well, we see every night as dogs. We're missing them so much. We don't see them at the moment. The buzz wasn't there. The atmosphere wasn't there. But they, like us, wanted the show to go on. It did brilliantly so. We had fantastic racing. I seem to be writing every week about Graham Holland or Liam Dowding. It just seems to, one year he's into another.
Yeah.
I must say, though, Liam had an incredible year. He had it. I always associated Kerry with coursing rather than tracking. But Liam and Shane Downing have changed all that. And look, just looking at what he had this year, like Ballymacantone won the Best Car Parks Gold Cup in those wonderful pre-lockdown days.
Yeah, pre-lockdown days. There was crowds there to see that.
Then Ballymac Kingdom won the Cormac Cullen. Very versatile dog. He ran well in everything, really. And of course, now he's Ballymac Ariel, the National Puppy Stake winner. She is just something else completely. You know what I mean? He also bred Pestana, of course, who we'll be talking about later, and Ballymac Beanie, who was an incredible winner of the Sporting Press Irish Oaks, which I think, and I think you agree, was the best Oaks we've had for a very, very long time. It was
absolutely,
really,
a vintage renewal from start to finish, Declan. We
absolutely,
enjoyed every moment
and
of
the
it.
final, I know it's a cliche, but the final would have done justice to a Derby final, just as much, you know. We also had, of course, in the Ladbrokes Easter Cup, which is the first real thing during the lockdown. We're still getting used to that bizarre situation. But Wolf finally won the major prize he so richly deserved. He got that in the Easter Cup final. And then later in the year, as you said, there's a lot happening late in the year. We had Skywalker Barry winning the Juvenile Derby for new trainer Mark O'Donovan. That was very exciting. So it was a remarkable year. But you will know as well as I do that even along with those incredible greyhounds like Ballymac Beanie, Ballymac Ariel, all those, two dogs really stood out this year. We have to say, to me, they were Pestana and obviously Newinn Taylor. They were just on a different level. So both of them in the 1 year, competing in the one Derby, and sadly both of their careers finished on a very sad note on Shelbourne as well with both of them. But my God, they gave us some moments. So the first outstanding moment for me would be obviously with Pestana, which John McKenna trained for Des Grace of Tralee. I think unlike the rest of us, he enjoyed the lockdown. He was a different dog when he came back. I wasn't quite sure what he was doing in the sprint, to be honest with you, the first time we saw him. But then I saw him doing 1863. And, you know, I'm not a great sprint fan, but
then after went to Curraheen Park, he did sub 28. And then it was just a case of he was on a crest of away from then, wasn't he?
Absolutely. But almost from the moment he came back, you know, normally it takes a couple of races to, but this dog, the minute he came back, the 1863 is a phenomenal effort, especially for basically a 550 dog. You know, it was an incredible run. And then, then we saw him, of course, in the Boy Sports Champion Stakes, and he won that. And I think that's a great thing because so many great dogs we've seen down the years, and for whatever reason, we just saw a Wolf there a second ago. Thankfully, he got his reward towards the end. But a lot of really great dogs, like Pestana, didn't win major trophies for whatever reason. So he got the Boy Sports Champion Stakes, which was outstanding. But his best run came, it has to be, in the second round of the Derby. Yeah. It was 22nd of August, Heat 9. We'll never forget it. I mean, it was Pestana and Newinn Taylor taking each other on. So we're already buzzing before it. But what we saw next, all I'd say is Pestana came out of trap one like a bullet out of a gun. It was just unreal. And in some ways, it was Newinn Taylor's greatest performance to actually hang with him and to be only 3.5 lengths behind him because he did a phenomenal effort, 28.99 for 550. You know what I mean? Now, every year things get better and we say you won't see this and you won't see that. But I don't think we were expecting that, even from Pestana.
Well, Declan, I dare say we were both on track to watch Trade Official become the first greyhound to break 30 seconds for 550 yards. Yeah. Little did we think we'd ever live to see 29 being broken.
Indeed. And, do you know, even if we hadn't seen the clock flash up, there was something about that performance. You know what I mean? There was just something about it. From the minute he left Tramps, you knew you were seeing something very special here. And like I say, it just shows how good the other dog is to be within him. Even at the first bend, he didn't break half as well, but he's only a couple of lengths off him at the first bend. So he probably pushed him out more. Who knows? He may have contributed to it, but it was just that I would say. And of course, in the heat of the moment, you can get carried away and so on, as we all do, because we all love the game. But I would honestly say it's a few months ago now. I would say that's probably the best performance I've ever seen in Shelbourne Park.
Declan, I think we both stressed since that it was probably the most near to perfect performance we've ever seen. The dog flew out. He kept a great racing line. He flew down the back and he got every inch of the trip. Luckily, I was sort of readying myself at the third bend for this was going to be a sensational run, because normally you see 28 flashing up in a 550. You go, oh, we'll have to check the clock, or But it was sort of in my mind. No, he's doing around 29 here, so just be ready for it. And I think it was a sign of the lockdown and the way things were going this year that it really went viral. This was shared far and wide. Like Australia, we're talking about it. America, we're talking about it. It was viewed all over the world, and there was thousands of views within the next day or two. And the comments online were just incredible. It was like, wow, and this is just perfection. And there was people watching it over and over again, sort of like a TikTok video. They just couldn't keep their eyes off it. It was that good.
Well, you've had some great moments in recent years, and not least on that when the three dogs crossed the line in the Derby final. No one in the track knew who'd won, only yourself. That was the year before last. But you knew from the minute he came out that this was something special. It was in your voice, and that's why you're a commentator and I'm not, because I was just speechless. I wouldn't be able to say anything. It was just stunning. It was, you can't exaggerate how good it was. It'd be hard to overstate it. You knew that he could never do anything like that again, really deep down. And I'm sure Owen was thrilled. Of course he was, and Des, but I'm sure driving home, they must be wondering, has he won his final on the wrong night? And perhaps he did. But it doesn't matter. It was just, it's a run for the ages. It was, I've never seen a Derby heat quite like that. Winning performance. And the second dog, Newinn Taylor, to live with that, and to be actually, it seemed to be even making ground going into the first bend on that. I mean, what a dog he is as well.
He did. He made up a little bit of ground into the opening corner. But I suppose to highlight the fact, it actually highlighted the fact that Newinn Taylor was a big Derby contender, because in his previous round, in his first trip over 550, he had been beaten. He'd been a little bit disappointing, but there was a lot of reasons for that. We were expecting him to come on first, but that night in defeat, he sort of stamped himself as a leading Derby contender.
Absolutely, and he had come to Produce Stakes for perfectly good reasons. Was run very late. And to me, it was very noticeable, because Graham Holland, like all great trainers, is a creature of habit. And it struck me Newinn Taylor didn't have it. Now, he knew Shelbourne well, of course. He wasn't a new dog to Shelbourne, as we knew, but he didn't give him even a trial before it. So obviously, the Produce Stakes took a lot out of him, which we can understand. And he knew the dog was good enough to qualify. And he did, and this was the second round, and he was just buzzing again. He was on the way back. We knew, you're quite right, that night we knew we had two outstanding dogs in the Derby.
So Pestana's track record was your first moment. What was your second moment, Declan?
It would have been the Derby final, which obviously was a tragic night for Pestana.
Mm-hmm. But it was a crowning night for a true champion.
It was, and Newinn Taylor, I often felt his semi-final run was never fully appreciated. He did 29.13 that night. Now, by Shelbourne standards this summer, that's nothing outstanding, but the track was back. Even on the Friday night, we noticed it. Excuse me. The track was back very much that week for whatever reason. And it's no harm now and again. It was back a little bit that week. And to put that in perspective, Pestana ran a perfect semi-final in 29.39. So Newinn Taylor was actually 26 spots faster than Pestana in that semi-final. And I don't think he ever got the credit that he deserved for that. But in the final, it was a reasonably level break. But he was the slowest out. Now, I don't think I've ever seen, perhaps you can remember one in Derby final, where a dog was the last out, and not by much, but still, he probably was the slowest away to be in pole position at the first bend. Yeah. That is exceptional. And the trainer deserves huge credit, because I don't think he would have won the final unless he was wearing those stripes. He was a wide seed. And how many dogs do we see running every week that are middle seeds that should be wide seeds? So credit, there's a classic, literally a classic example of, if you have a wide dog, seed them wide. And that night, it actually won the Derby for him. Yeah. It was tragic what happened to Pestana, of course it was. It took away for everyone's enjoyment that night, but no question. And then, of course, it was far from over, because a certain Mina Miracle, who was last at the first bend. She decided to take part, you know, and we had a brilliant final. It looked like Mina Miracle was going to win between the last two bends. She is a wide runner as well. Possibly came against her a little bit. Maybe as with Boyle Sports King, Lenson Bocco already had the outside that year, so he couldn't go there. Perhaps had a little bit to do with it. But certainly Newinn Taylor that night was brilliant. It was absolutely
certainly was. Well, Declan, our time is nearly up here. It was a memorable year. We can just hope for more of the same now next year.
I can't wait. I just can't wait, Ian. Absolutely.
Declan, you know, thanks for your thoughts, and here's to 2021.
Great stuff. Look forward to it. Thanks, Ian.
And there is the bell. The runners for Heat 9 of the Derby. In 1, Pestana. 2, Waikiki Kino. 2, Virren. In 3, we have 2, Maker Daddy. 4 is Newinn, 5, Newinn Taylor. And 6 is Slippy Keen. Break all important. Racing, good start by Pestana. He never misses the kick. Flashes up the fence and is going to clear into the corner. From in second spot, trap 5. Newinn Taylor showing devastating early, but out front, and it is Pestana. On by 3 lengths to 5. Newinn Taylor. A gap in third to 2. Waikiki Kino. But Pestana clear to the third bend. 16.83. An incredible third bend split. Newinn Taylor trying his very best to bridge the gap in second, but Pestana is surely home and hosed and wins well. From in second, 5. Newinn Taylor. A very encouraging run by him. Back in third was 2, Waikiki Kino. We've seen the record broken. The first greyhound ever to break 29 seconds for 550 yards in Ireland. Pestana. Sensational. Newinn Taylor on by 3-4 lengths into the back straight. From in second, 5, Ballymac Cooper. Then comes 2, Mina Miracle, but it is 6, Newinn Taylor that's still on, but Mina Miracle is in chase in second spot. It's Mina Miracle closing on Newinn Taylor off the final turn. Newinn Taylor switches wide. Here comes Mina Miracle. Newinn Taylor holds on to win the Derby. It's Newinn Taylor, the Derby winner for 2020. Mina Miracle ran an incredible race in second. The winning time 29.61. Newinn Taylor had to work for the lead, but he got there and he dug in. He showed bravery, he showed class, and he'll be forever known as the 2020 Boyle Sports Irish Greyhound Derby winner.